Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be checking out the Mattel DC Comics Multiverse. This is the Collect and Connect Clayface wave, and this is Batwoman. Okay, before we do anything else, let's figure out how tall Batwoman is. The answer to that is, much like Two-Face, about a 6.5-inch tall figure. Okay, let's have a look at the Connect and Collect pieces. I think it's the other way around. Collect and Connect pieces of Clayface. You get the lower muddy underoos, and you also get yourself the head. I know, you usually... viewers yelling to me right now, you usually do the head reveal as the very last piece. Well, it just so happens in order for me to add the legs and the arms, I'm going to have to make some sacrifices, and we're going to have to do the head early. So here we have the underoos, here we have the head, actually a decent looking head on Clayface. We're going to reach off camera to where we started from, a very small start, as we only really got the torso pieces together. Go ahead and snap on the lower torso. That's actually going to already be equaling a rather large looking figure. I suppose I could put the head on the very last step after all the other figures are done, but I won't do that. Let's pop that into place right now. And we are masking Batwoman. There she is. Here is where we have got so far for Clayface. Not bad. Not bad at all. And move him to the side. Her only other accessory, excluding Clayface pieces, are an interchangeable, unmasked head sculpt with the shorter hair. It's not bad. If you want to swap out the head, you can certainly do so. Let's pop the head off. A, might I add, really thin, slightly different colored plastic peg, and then this is going to go on top like so. I really do not care for the fact that the peg is as long as it is. Does it really need to be this long? Because well, ultimately you're really going to have to push down on it to get the head in place. The head actually looks like... First of all, it looks out of place. Second of all, it looks like when you go to Toys R Us or any retail store that sells figures, and you can see right away. You can spot it a mile away that some scalper has picked up a toy. Let me know down below if you've ever experienced this, not maybe stealing yourself. Somebody has picked up a toy, returned it, and has returned it with a head sculpt that's not even close to the same figure. So like, for example, maybe for, I don't know, instead of a Marvel Legends, they put in a Kane's head from WWE, or they put some real random piece in there. At the more laughable examples I've seen, they've put like heads or things in there that aren't even the same size as the clamshell. They're just like loose, or they're overly large. I don't expect cashiers to know exactly what these toys look like, but at the very least, you should be able to look at it and know that something seems off. And that there's still happens all the time. So I'm not really too keen on this head sculpt. Let me just show you where we started from. Of the two, I really prefer this one over this one myself. But options are always nice to have available. At the very least, I'm going to talk more about this in a second. Let's go and get the head off. Look at that. Again, look at that little, small... You just look at it and it looks like it's going to break. Now that I've jinxed myself by saying that. Go ahead and put the head back onto the ball joint. Never speaking of that again. I appreciate the fact that she comes included with an interchangeable head. In all honesty, though, the plastic used to make this, I don't know anybody would display their Batwoman with this head sculpt instead of this one. Save the plastic, and at the very least, give us some interchangeable hands and some weapons, as this figure has neither. Neither. She doesn't have any extra accessories. A utility belt, it's right there, but a Batarang, Of course, some interchangeable hands, some more relaxed hands, something, maybe instead of the interchangeable head. At any rate, let's have a look at the figure itself, which actually I do quite like. I would have enjoyed it a little bit more as if she had had some more expression on her face, kind of like the way that packaging was. But a neutral face sculpt can work also equally well here with Batwoman, and I have to admit it does. The paint doesn't really have any sort of additional paint. What you're getting is a black and red figure, and that's it. No additional shading or anything else of that matter. I suppose to some extent there's a little bit added to the hair, but it's very little. So there's not much in the way of additional color. I do really like how the color pops, though. The emblem here on the chest of Batwoman does remind me a little bit about the 60s Batman logo. More importantly, like I guess his gadgets, where it was more usually like a red or an orange bat logo. Utility belt is decent. Got no problems with that. Color is clean. It would be very easy for me to say that anyways, because there's not really a lot of paint application. You get generally a molded black figure. They've painted in the boots, which have been cleanly executed. I don't see any issues with the paint being sloppy. It doesn't have a real sharp line on the top, but that's something that could be easily passable. And it's not something you're going to stay awake late at night thinking about. The utility belt is a softer plastic, so be a little mindful of that you don't accidentally snag this and rip it by mistake. The gloves also look like they've been painted in. Little sloppy at the top. It's not too bad though. And like I said, the rest of the figure is just really black plastic, so it's not really a whole lot of extra paint happening here. The cape is relatively narrow, relying more on a softer plastic with the underlining paint, the interior cape, being painted in red. Love the shape of the cape. I love that it is very narrow instead of very broad looking cape. Again, no real issues with this particular figure. Let's run through her posability. Her head rotates all the way around. Periodically, this fellow here checks out the forums, sees what everybody is thinking about YouTube reviewers. And I think one person had mentioned I don't spend nearly enough time talking about the range of motion, the articulation on a figure. Figure's range of motion for her arms hinge outward. You can rotate the arms all the way around. She has a bend at the elbow, which also allows the forearm to rotate all the way around. And she also has rotation and hinge on the hand. Somebody right now is thinking, wow, he actually does check out the forums. I do from time to time. Luckily, for the most part, pleasant things I usually read about this channel, luckily, but I'm always open for criticism. Upper torso ball joint, rocking back and forth, so really you can rotate the torso all the way around. Legs split out. In what I might also add, it's nice that all the multiverse figures now, from what I'm seeing, now Two-Face, it's funny that I would say that, Two-Face didn't have it, but I think Two-Face used the same molds as like the Black Mask and other previous released suited figures. But this figure particularly does have the new ball joint system, so it doesn't have the split, the little cut right there. Legs hinge out, forward and back, nice and easy. Swivel on the top cut of the thigh. She has a double hinge knee. Let's see if we can get that double hinge action happening. There we go, double hinge on the knee. And a hinge on the foot. Not really much in the way of an ankle pivot, so for somebody who's seeking out an ankle pivot, you may be slightly disappointed here with Batwoman. Non-ankle pivot seekers would otherwise, I think, really dig this particular release of Batwoman. I would find it rather hard to pick any negative points about this particular release of Batwoman. To be fair, though, I've always really loved this costume design of her, a really dark black costume character with the very bright, vibrant colors of the crimson red. Everything works quite well, and I think the multiverse release of her transitions that and translates that rather well in plastic form. I don't think the head sculpt was a necessary inclusion. In fact, it almost seems like an afterthought. It seems as if, again, like I had mentioned in the review, it looks like some scalper had pillaged the good head sculpt and replaced it with an otherwise ugly head sculpt of Kane from the WWE releases. I think the head sculpt, the alternate head sculpt, could have been easily just left out, and in favor of that, maybe swap in some interchangeable hands, and at the very least, this is from the Bat family after all, she could have come with a few Bat gadgets. Maybe a couple of utility belt trinkets, a Batarang, a grapple gun, something in favor of the swappable head. That's just my opinion though. We are a little bit closer towards building ourselves a Clayface. In our defense, this is a relatively short wave as well. There's only about 5 figures, so putting together Clayface is going to be pretty easy indeed. Today on the end of it, at the very end of this, we were having a look at the multiverse. This was the Collect and Connect Clayface Batwoman. A rather long mouthful. Whenever I say that at the end of these final looks, I always think to myself, the first thing I think of, oh man, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to fit that all in my YouTube video title. Let me know if you ever come across that angst as well. Am I ever going to fit that all in a YouTube title? Like I said, guys, more videos are going to be coming your way. We're going to put together a Clayface. I know this is a wave that a lot of people were thinking I was going to review, and I guess probably had just given up hope. Don't give up hope. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to get the stuff out on YouTube, but rest assured, things specific, especially like a Clayface, I'll always get around to doing a Clayface. I love Clayface, so we're definitely going to finish the rest of this particular wave, and in the process of doing that, we're also going to put together a Clayface, so stay tuned for that. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. If you haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so. The rest of this wave will be coming your way. See you guys next time.